One. Hey y'all, what is going on? What is going on? It's your girl, Melba Pearson, Melba for Miami, Melba for Justice, also known as the resident legal diva. And it's time for another Mondays with Melba. Hope everyone is doing well, that you've had a great weekend. We're continuing in our election series where I'm bringing to you a variety of candidates for different offices, just so y'all can get an idea of what's on the ballot, because all of these folks I'm bringing to you for the most part, are on the ballot on August 23rd. And then, at least that way you can help create your voting plan, right? So, number one, you've taken a look at your sample ballot. You know that you are registered to vote in Florida, especially and you are in the Miami-Dade County. You know where your precinct is, and you have a plan as to whether or not you're going to vote by mail and when you're going to drop your ballot off, or you're going to vote in person during early voting, which means you can vote at any early voting precinct, or you vote on August 23rd in person at your designated precinct. So want to make sure you're election ready. Going to keep putting in the chat and in the comments all the deadlines, as well as everything you need to be able to request a vote by mail ballot or whatever you want to do. But today's guest, so excited for Maribel Balbin, who I met while on the campaign trail last year, 2 years ago now. Oh my God, time flies with this pandemic. And she is running for school board in Miami-Dade County. Super fierce, super amazing. Hope you're going to come to the same conclusion I did. Maribel, welcome to Mondays with Melba, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you so much. I've been looking and watching your Mondays, and I was hoping that I'll be a guest sometime. So I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you so much.
Yay! So, okay, so first of all, can you please introduce yourself to the viewers and the listeners and tell them a little bit about your background and what you've done up to this point?
Absolutely. Well, I am from Cuba. So I came to this country when I was 14 years old. I am a product of the Miami-Dade County Public Schools. I spoke no English. Neither did the hundreds and the thousands of Cuban refugee children that arrived at the same time. I am from the group that came as part of the Freedom Flight. And that was a group of Cubans that came from 1965 to 1972. There were 2 flights out of Cuba every day with 150 Cubans. So I'm one of 500,000 that arrived during those years. With my family, of course. I went to Citrus Grove, and I went to Miami Senior High. I'm a Stingaree. I also went to Miami-Dade College, and then I went to FIU. So I am a total and absolute product of our public system in Miami-Dade County. I've worked in government. I recently retired. I worked for Miami-Dade County. I worked for the South Florida Water Management District. I've worked in projects that had to do with the environment. I worked with the Everglades Restoration, the Water Conservation Program for Miami-Dade County, always communicating to the public about the importance of these issues. So I spent some really great years with the public and being out in the community. At the same time, when I became a citizen, I voted on my first election immediately, but I really didn't know anything. But I ran into the League of Women Voters. So I joined the League of Women Voters back when I first became a citizen. I've been involved with them for all this time. I was president of the Miami-Dade chapter. I've been on the state board, and I was the first Hispanic to be part of the national board of the League of Women Voters. So I'm committed to voter information, voter participation. I've registered more voters that I can count, and have always worked in making sure that what you were just saying at the beginning, that people know when the days to vote are, how your deadlines are, and making sure that people vote no matter for whom, but that they exercise their right to vote. And now here I am, after all these years, running for office. Not something I planned, but the school board is important, and what happened in my district is important, and the reasons why I decided to run are very important.
Well, yeah, let's definitely talk about that because much like you, when I ran, that was something I had never planned on. It was not on my horizon or on my list of things to do ever in this life. But again, circumstances often change and you feel called. So tell us a little bit about why you're running for the school board, especially now.
Absolutely. Like I said, I had not looked at the races. I knew that there was a race, But then I actually was at a meeting on a committee that I sit in the town of Miami Lakes where I live, and my phone was going off. I kept looking at my phone, and all these calls were coming through, and I'm thinking, well, the world is coming to an end. And sure enough, by the time the meeting ended, I started looking at the messages, and there was all these people that I know that were calling me to say, Perla Tavares Hampman just left the race, and you're the only person that can run for that seat in this district. I mean, this was said to me by a number of people. I have all the messages on my phone, Melba, which I found like interesting also. But at the same time, I was like, but she was already putting her campaign together. She was ready to do her last run. You know, she's 83 years old and she's been in there for 25 years, but she wanted definitely to do one more run. And apparently, what I found out was that she, although she's a Republican and she's been very, very accommodating to the issues associated with her ideology. Somehow, the fact that she not necessarily followed certain instructions this year, having to do with masking, having to do with the superintendent that was hired, somehow people were not happy, and she was told that she would not be supported this time around, that she has been supported by the establishment all these years back. Not only that she may have like a tough race. So that's what people are saying. I'm not saying I don't know that that's exactly what happened, but that's what people believe that happened. So that made me upset.
Yeah.
When they told me that that was the reason, I said, well, we can't do that. And then we looked at who had signed up to run against, or had already signed up to run against her. And I said, well, that's not the best candidate, definitely. And then I jumped in the race, and someone else jumped in the race. So there's three people in the race right now. And they've for the public and for your audience, though, they can read about us because the endorsements from the Miami Herald came out last Friday, and I was endorsed by the Miami Herald, so I'm very happy to share that. But there's information about the three candidates there, so for people that would like to know more about that.
Awesome. Awesome. So can you walk us a little bit through how school board races work in Miami-Dade County? So for instance, for your seat, is it a partisan seat, meaning Democrat or Republican? What area does that cover? So basically, who are the people that can vote for you? Like, whose ballot are you going to show up on?
Exactly. Very interesting because the school board races are nonpartisan, just like the county commission races, which is so important that these days they're being made very political, which they have not been in the past. The Miami-Dade County Public School board is 138 years, 138 years of history where no politics have been introduced into a campaign. So here we are this year, very, very unique. So they are nonpartisan. They also have their districts. There are 9 districts in the entire county. I am running specifically in District 4, and that is the area of Hialeah, Hialeah Gardens, Miami Lakes, Miami Palm Springs North, Country Club of Miami. So it's all the way from like the 20th Street in Hialeah to the county line. So the whole northwest corner of the county. I've been asked, my campaign phone rings. I normally answer myself. And people have called to say, I received some literature about you, but it doesn't say if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Why? And you have to go through the explanation, as you know also. You can't. I mean, actually, I will be violating the law if I were to put in anything in reference to a particular political party. So people don't understand much about the school board or who runs for it. It's unfortunate, but even people that have children in the system are not really familiar with the fact that there is a group of people that get elected every 4 years to run the system and what happens in your children's school.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that, we were chatting about this before, that nobody paid attention to school board races. And now school board races are really a hotbed of contention, especially when you see much more conservative leaning folks, or I don't even say conservative at this point because we're past that. It's a whole nother level where you've got, all these different outside groups coming in and wanting to dictate what textbooks can be used in the classroom and all of that, fighting back against the quote unquote woke philosophy, which is just sheer foolishness. It's basically pushing back on accurate teaching of history and sex ed and important things that kids need to know so they don't go out, experiment, and now you have other issues. So, can you talk a little bit about what that's looked like in Miami-Dade County? Because I know that you used to always attend the school board meetings, even though, you don't necessarily, well, no, you have grandkids that are in public schools here in Miami-Dade, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, I've been involved with the school board and visiting and on attending the meetings because through my work with the League of Women Voters, we've always either supported an issue. I mean, we have been very active in the referendums and always working with the superintendents, either supporting it, endorsing it, and as an organization, helping them promote it and just inform the public about it, right? So, school board meetings very boring. I mean, you can listen to them on WLRN when you're in your car. You can turn it on in your website on your computer when you're working. But they were very simple meetings without a lot of commotion or anything. Unfortunately, they have turned into these sometimes really, really horrible meetings. I mean, the public feels that they have certain liberty to say awful things just because it's a public hearing. And sometimes it's really incredible the things that are said. And I was at a forum actually, Melba, the other night where these issues came up. And I said, well, when we're talking about indoctrination, because the word indoctrination is used, like our teachers are there to indoctrinate your children, which, we've always had the highest respect for teachers. And now we are saying that they are everything the worst thing in the world, right? But I say, I went to school in Cuba. I know what indoctrination is. I know what it is not to be able to read a book because it's been banned by the government, that you have to have it smuggled in, but with somebody through another country when you wanted to read a book that was not allowed in the country. I know what it is not to be able to say certain things in the classroom because your family can pay the price, because obviously if you say something it's because you heard it from your parents. So I know what that means. And that's not what happens here. I say, you cannot compare these things that you're saying to what we do in our schools. I mean, it just doesn't happen. Unfortunately, there have been specific incidents where some parent and somebody, the best thing though, Melba, is that most of the people that are having this conversations don't even have children in the public school system.
Okay? That's the thing. That's the thing that makes no sense to me. It's like, you got some of these Proud Boys showing up at school board meetings and they're still children themselves. Not to mention,
they have the children in private schools. This one guy in Miami, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to give him more fame, but he is the president of this new organization that formed in October. And he's now this constant person that goes to every single meeting. And then he quotes statutes and he has all these prepared speeches. And then he tapes and puts on his website to say, I was today at the school board and this is what I said. And he's calling out either a decision that the board has made, like specifically with the books this week when they were banning or not allowing the sex education books. He pulled all this statutory language and how it all just, these books didn't comply with those things. But like I said, at the same time, his two children go to a private school. Other people are homeschooling. Some of the Moms for Liberty, they're homeschooling their children. So the children are not in public schools. But it's a minority with this voice that is amplified when the real parents of our children in our school, is 334,000 of them, are people that don't have time to be going to a school board meeting, don't have time to be reading nonsense and this and that. They trust the teachers. They trust their schools. They just want to know that when they drop those children in the morning in the school, they're going to be safe and they're going to be learning until the time they pick them up in the afternoon. That's what a parent will tell you every single time you knock on a door, Melba. All these other things are so politicized and political rhetoric that is only permeating literally the older people that don't even have children in the school system, or these people that are being paid to make this noise that we're hearing in every single one of these meetings. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And we like I said, that the whole respect for teachers, the whole thing that we also, venerable people that we always had in high places, all of a sudden we're calling them all kinds of names as if they had the time or the interest in turning their children into anything at all other than good citizens educated to be, a part of the community when they graduate.
Exactly, because Maribel, I know your daughter is a teacher here in Miami-Dade County, and of course, I have to shout out to United Teachers of Dade. Much love to them, and Carla Motz, and that amazing team over there, Tony White, everybody, Michael Molinar, all of them.
Oh,
But I think about the fact that we still don't pay our teachers properly, right? And we ask them to take on the most important responsibility, which is the education of our kids. But in the process, they're taking money out of their own pocket to buy chalk, to buy school supplies, to, buy different things that they need to be able to do their jobs more effectively. We can't even say that we can protect them in the schools against mass shootings or anything like that. Instead, we say, oh, well, if you want to protect yourself and your students, you should get a gun as well, And so we heap all of this on top of them. And then on the back of it, now there's this group of people saying, okay, even though you're doing all of this, even though you're running your blood to water every day for these kids, you know what, we're going to insult you on top of it and say all you want to do is groom and indoctrinate our children, which is just utterly disgusting. But okay, with that being said, can you walk everyone through what the day-to-day job of a school board member is? What do school board members do? Because again, I think some attention came this week as a result of the sex education textbook vote, where the school board initially voted to ban or not allow certain books that taught sex ed, and then they reversed themselves a few days later. But I think people don't really know what the school board does. So can you talk a little bit about what they do?
Right. I mean, they are the CEOs of the system, and this is a large system. We're the fourth largest in the country. And as far as security, Melba, actually, something that people don't know, the police department that has been created after Parkland in the school system is the largest in the country of any district. Although we're the fourth largest, we're the largest police department of any district. So as far as security, that's what some parents feel. You see that one officer in every school. That's a requirement that was passed also as part of this whole security issues. But the board is in charge of managing this incredible, complicated system. I mean, it goes from issuing contracts, making sure it's something that I'm looking into also, the minority are getting contracts, the minority are participating in the money that is being distributed to companies in the community, to approving curriculum, to disciplinary issues, to approving the budget, which is also the main responsibility, is is approving that budget every year. And then handling, obviously they cannot direct staff. It's just like, a county commissioner also. There's a separation between the staff and the board, but they do have the relationship with the superintendent, who is the one that communicates with them as far as whatever issues need to be brought up. And if it's not voted, it doesn't happen. So whatever needs to move, as far as it would be money, disciplinary actions, books, curriculum, all of that needs to have that vote on the board in order for things to then happen in the administration side of it. So they have a huge responsibility, and as being voted, I mean, the people in their districts vote for them, so they're responsible to the parents, and they have to respond to whatever concerns they bring up and make sure they listen. I know many of them visit their schools on a regular basis to just have that relationship with the principals to make sure that they know what's going on. We had a huge amount of money that was passed in 2012 as part of a GOB, a general obligation bond, where schools were going to be either built new or restored. And each district is looking into making sure that their schools are getting the money that they're supposed to get through that. So we have seen that beautiful schools have been built all over the county. Mm-hmm. And technology has been introduced to those schools that didn't have it, because the idea is that every single child in Miami-Dade County Public Schools has to have the same resources, have the same environment all across the county. There's now of this that a school in Pinecrest is going to be better than a school in Liberty City, for example.
Exactly.
They need to be all the same, and that's part of the responsibility of the board to make sure that the monies are spent adequately and equitably. And that's part of the things that I'm looking forward to do to make sure that we do have all these things in place and we are taking care of every single school and every single child. The other thing that's happening, Melba, through the pandemic, some children were left behind.
Yeah.
I personally spent a year with my first grader, my granddaughter, and there were 3 Zooms a day that I needed to be there with her to go through it. And it was very complicated. I took my hat off to Miss Sanchez out of Hialeah Gardens elementary school, who did this 25 children in Zoom every day, and there were 3 Zooms. Now, I know that there were families that were not really able to do that. And children have fell behind during that year. So this summer, there have been special programs to bring those children up to their academic level, but there's still third graders, that reading issue in the third grade needs to be addressed, and there's going to be special attention put into that to make sure that no child is left behind from the impacts of the pandemic. So that's a huge issue to address also as we move forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what is your platform? What are some of the top things you want to accomplish once you win the position of school board member?
Well, definitely, first of all, is making sure, like I said, that every single child is getting the same exact excellent education with all the resources in the safest environment possible. I mean, that's main issue to make sure that we address. But importantly enough also is the fact that our teachers need to be paid adequately. We have worked through teacher salaries, and the bottom line is, well, we're still on the 39th place across the country as to what
Wow.
teachers made. And people will tell you, but the governor put this many millions of dollars this year. Yes, there was some help this year. Some of it, though, the way that it was structured, it was for new hires to so that the initial salary it was higher because it was at 30 something, so it's at 40 something now. So that base salary of the teachers is what needs to be addressed. If it is not addressed through the base salary, it doesn't really make much difference. So the adequate compensation of teachers is still a number one issue, because we can have all the directives you want from Tallahassee that you need to teach this or not teach that. If you don't have someone in the classroom to do it, it doesn't matter. And
Hey, I think we had a little glitch. Can you repeat the last part?
I sort of like took it in and stuff. Example, classes this past year where 3 classes will have to be taken into an auditorium because there was only one teacher and there were no substitutes. So we need to make sure that we have enough teachers. Right now, across the state, there's a deficit of 9,000 school personnel. Doesn't mean that they're all teachers, but the bulk of that 9,000 number is supposed to be teachers. And we asked the superintendent of Miami-Dade what was the number from Miami, and he said he will have that number this coming week as they were going through the budget. But the number that people were throwing around was about 450 to 475 deficit in the number of teachers needed for August when the classes begin now in less than a month.
So literally, we're down 500, close to 500 teachers in Miami-Dade County for this upcoming school year.
That's supposed to be the number, and we're hoping that it's less. They're doing all kinds of partnerships with Miami-Dade College, FIU, where students that haven't really finished yet can come in and do and teach, which I think that's great. If somebody that is studying to be a teacher, they come in a little earlier. So that I think is going to work. And then initiatives like that, where how do you fix it? How do you make sure that you have a teacher in every classroom? And that's a huge issue. I also want to look, Melba, into the issue of the special needs. Lots of parents feel that they need more resources, that there needs to be more money associated with the special needs children in our school system. So we want to look into that too. And like I said before, the minority participation in contracting, I worked in that legislatively in the past. So I'm very, very focused into that. And just making sure that we are providing what we're required to provide, and we are giving our children what they need to get in order to be successful and achieve their potential. That's the key to having an education. And I believe in public education. I think we do need strong schools. Strong public schools are the key. Maybe some that have more community type outreach to get the community more involved, for those parents that don't have time to go to a meeting somewhere. On communication, like I said at the beginning, also, especially English learner students, be it Creole or Spanish. I was one of those children. I know how hard it is. And also the fact that the parents need to have the right information about what's going on in the school, because when they don't speak the language, it becomes more difficult to really be informed and know what the decision that they need to make for the children's education. We are a top choice school in the country. We have more programs to offer our students than just about any other district in the country. Our students can learn veterinary. They can leave in the 12th grade with a certificate that they can go work in a veterinary office and then go and study if they want to. They can give mechanics. They can go work somewhere fixing cars, which is a good paying job.
Really good paying job.
Totally. And you have a nursing. You have all these kinds of specific programs that you leave on the 12th grade with a certificate that gets you a job when you leave. Those that don't want to go to university can, have all these avenues, all these different choices. And I want to make sure, though, that those that want to go to university get the resources to do so and get to go also, and not go because of any issues of finances. Or we need to make sure that every child that wants to go to university does make it, and I'm also focused on that.
Awesome. No, that is super robust. I mean, looking at, the contracting process and making sure that minority owned businesses are able to be able to compete and get a shot at some of these contracts, to look at the shortfall in teachers, teacher pay, communicating to family members, making sure that schools are equitable across the county. I mean, these are all really, really critical and important things. So Maribel, if people want to learn more about you and donate, support, volunteer with you to knock on doors and get the word out, or to phone bank, how do they find you?
MaribelBalbin.com. That is the website, and there is a click where you can just send us your email, and then we'll contact you to see whichever way you would like to participate. And all those things are available: phone banking, walking, and definitely donate. And those are in ActBlue. They can just go to ActBlue and put my name, and the name comes up for donation. Or there is also a button in my website, MaribelBalbin.com.
Awesome. Well, Maribel, first of all, you have been a friend to me. You have been amazing in terms of, helping me, guiding me, giving me different ideas, especially in the communication space. I completely 110% endorse you because, number one, you're level-headed, you're smart, you have the experience, and you're very passionate about our kids and our community. And you are the type of person that we need to see on the school board, especially to bring back the decorum to those meetings, because to see these meetings, kind of go down to like these screaming matches, that's not what taxpayer dollars should be going towards, right? It should be going towards, folks who are out here really fighting for our kids and making sure that education is front and center as the to give you the ability to move forward, to be a productive resident of Miami-Dade County or wherever it is you end up in this country as a product of Miami-Dade schools. I mean, hello, we have a product of Miami-Dade schools on the Supreme Court, right? So this is huge, but with that comes a huge responsibility that is placed with our school board members. So it is my honor to endorse you for whatever that's worth. I sent you my checks. I'm going to send you some more before the election comes. I encourage everyone to do the same if you can. No amount is too small. And if you are, unfortunately, you're not able to donate, that's totally cool. There's other ways you can help. Like I said, knock doors, talk to your friends and family and neighbors, phone bank, text bank even. So you can do that from the comfort of your couch right here and get the word out. So everyone, definitely check out maribelbalbin.com. Get involved, stay engaged. Maribel, thank you for your service to our community. Thank you for running, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much. This has been a treat. Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, y'all, take care, and we will see you next week.